What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Animal Box. Welcome in Freedom Seeds and everybody else who decided to tune in today. We have a great special guest this afternoon, a gentleman by the name of James Norred. Say hi, James.
Hey, how's it going?
James and I have been friends for a little bit. He runs the Campfire Jam that's been going on for seemingly ever. I mean, 10 years now almost, right?
I think we did year 7 this year.
7? All
Yeah.
right. So not bad at all. And I accidentally got tuned into him by my wife, who found the post on Facebook for however many years ago it was, over at
Last call.
Yeah. Last call. And I showed up, and just it became a regular part of what I was doing for a long time. And James is the man who hosted it, and I'm eternally grateful for you posting it, having that little jam for that. When I needed it for sure.
Oh, I tell you. It kind of seems to be that way. People find it, and sometimes they need it.
Yeah, I definitely did at that point too. I was kind of in a little funk at that point. Hadn't been playing music much, and came off of a nasty injury playing softball in Hawaii, which is a total first world problem, but whatever.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And sure enough, it came exactly when I needed it. So obviously, I do this podcast to talk to people I enjoy talking to, and you and I have had a lot of great conversations over the years, and I wanted to get one of them on tape for sure, just for no other reason than posterity's sake. You know what I mean? Because
cool.
I think people who do the kind of things that you do, especially when it comes to being supportive of local live music, I think it's incredibly important for you guys to be recognized for what it is that you do, because I can speak on personal experience. I know that what you do means a lot to a lot of people. You know?
Well, I went through some of those things coming, along the way as well. So, passing it on just like it was, passed on to me.
Yeah, paying it forward a little bit.
Yeah,
I like it. So where did your love of music come from? Where did it start?
It's a funny thing. I've always kind of been a little bit fascinated with live music. I was thinking about that the other day. Thinking back, I think the first time I saw, just like some live music, it was grade school, and they had brought some folks in, some kids from probably like the middle school or something like that, to spread the music. So we went and sat in the library, and and it happened to be a string,
Oh, nice.
So I was just fascinated, at that, and checked it out, listened to them, and I didn't do much with it for a while. Now, when I got into, let's say like 6th grade, got into some orchestra, I played the violin for a little while.
Oh, wow.
For a few years, and then kind of put it away for a while. When I got to high school, I got into, sports and everything else, and moved. And I really didn't get much along, the lines of staying with music. I had a paper route when I was 13, and for my first paycheck, I went and bought an electric guitar that I played, 3 notes on, and then traded it for a shotgun later. So, but then, it just kind of, it progressed to the point, when I got into college, I had some friends that played, and would go see them, and we'd set up in the dorm rooms in Stephenville, and I'd listen to them play, just fascinated, right, and it kind of got me thinking about, hey, you can show me a little bit about that, and learn just enough to play Margaritaville, until flash forward later, doing some hunting and camping and things like that. I had some good friends that I used to go camping and hunting with, and they would play around the campfire. At the end of the day, whenever we got done, doing whatever it is we need to do, hunting or clearing or we're just running around, driving around the pasture, drinking beer.
Yeah, like you do.
Yeah, like you do. Yeah. They would at night get around the campfire and play. Drink some beer and sip on some whiskey and cook on the campfire and just play music. And over the course of the years, I decided that's what I wanted to do. I think it was my 20-somethingth birthday.
Right.
Yeah, I got myself a little cheap guitar and and started learning from those guys. You know, yeah. So it kind of a lot of the that side of it happened for me around a campfire.
Right. I like that it's a continuous theme too throughout what you got going on now.
Sure,
That's really cool. You know, remembering your origins, right?
Yeah, sure.
Paying homage to where you come from. I'm always fascinated about people's involvement in music as they kind of grow up, especially at the age we're at now. I'm in my mid 40s. You know what I mean? And I've been at it for a while. And my story, while it can be interesting, you know what I mean, it's not nearly as interesting to me as everybody else's. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And maybe it's just the way my brain works, but I've always been. There she is. There's the baby. I can hear her.
All right.
I can hear her. I've always taken a look at like the history behind most of what I do. Right. I always like to look at where things came from. So especially when it came to music, being that I was heavily into rock and roll and soul and R&B. I went all the way back to, gospel and soul and bluegrass and all that kind of stuff, and really found a noise that I liked that I could kind of mold into this little shape that I got. Right. When you started getting into, say guitar, was it primarily like country stuff that they were playing or like super folky or?
Well, they were playing, they were playing all kinds of stuff. I mean. Older country, they were playing some Neil Young, so a little bit of classic rock, a little bit of southern rock, but the majority of it was country, right? Let's see.
Now you're from Texas, right?
Yeah, I'm from Fort Worth.
Okay,
yeah.
So you've grown up around Texas country forever then.
Well, yeah, my dad. He loved classic country, loves classic country, and so, when I was younger, riding around with my dad in the truck during the summer times, off school, just running. That's what I would hear. We'd hear everything sweet that was going on, country wise around then, but also. The sweet, start off with the 8-track and moved on to the cassette arsenal,
Right.
Just
shoebox tapes.
Oh, man. Yeah. He had 2 of them that were, like that.
Yeah.
And it's like gigantic tackle box. And he'd slide one out, and go through it and slide the next one out. But, yeah, so, most of that was classic country for me, and that, 70s, 80s country.
Right.
Yeah,
which seems to kind of be making a little bit of a comeback lately. I mean, there's a lot of draw towards, I guess, the origin sounds, and I always, for me, it's cyclical. I always watch music do this crazy thing where it goes super over orchestrated pop versions of everything to like origin roots of everything, right? Yeah. And it's like, and my example, because I lived it, was like we went through New Kids on the Block in the 80s, right?
Right.
And then from the 80s, we went through like the neo electro rock stuff and the super heavy pop Cyndi Lauper stuff. And then 90s, we went to like this pure raw, I don't want to say unlearned, if you will, rock and roll. That was just, the Eddie Vedders or Pearl Jams and all that kind of stuff of the world that came out. There was a real draw towards that kind of raw, under orchestrated, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I think now what we're seeing is a kind of a drawback because we've had like 10 years of just some of the more questionable music decisions I think that we've seen in the industry for a while. Not to say that all of it's bad, but there's a lot of it that's just not great. Hi, Boo Boo. What are you doing? Go say hi to Mama, will you? You're killing me. I love you. She's cute. Live podcasting, people. Live podcasting. This is what we do. And I see a kind of a shift now into some of that kind of origin noise. Now, as far as playing live, I mean, I always see you on Facebook playing all over the place. Is that just for the love of it, or like are you actively making a living as a musician?
It does quite a bit for me. That's not all that I do.
Right.
But I do, it is something that I absolutely love, getting to play, getting to do that with folks that you really enjoy and trying it out and, meeting the different folks,
Right.
you know. But yeah, it's one of the things that I do to help, you know, to help out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on. Now, and I'll credit you with a lot of kind of forcing me to get out there. You know what I mean? Because you're one of the few people that whenever you ask me, hey, I've got this show, if I can, I earnestly make an effort to go play. Because I respect the fact that you would actually call me and consider me to do that stuff. Being the level of talent that I know you are, that I've heard you be for the last 7 or 8 years. So it means a lot to me when you come to me and ask. And in so doing, there were some times when I know for a fact, like, man, I don't want to play this weekend. I don't want to play this weekend.
Sure.
And say, hey, you want to play this one? Yeah, fine. Yeah, it's fine. I'll show up.
It's a big word.
You know, yeah, right. And personally, I mean, I have a pretty hectic, you know, regular quote unquote job schedule, which occupies 65 hours a week for me, plus, you know, baby and everything else. So I'm less motivated now to play live, less motivated than I probably should be. So I always admire when I see your posts on Facebook. You know, you're playing out 2-3 times a week, and sometimes more, grinding it out, and I appreciate that, and have a great deal of respect for that, for sure, for sure. Where do you get the energy for that? How do you? I had a hard time getting out of bed this morning, like 10 o'clock. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. I mean, you know how it is at the end of the day. If you're just exhausted and you've got it coming up, you know, it's you know, you gather your toys and you get out there, you know, and when the closer you get to it, you know, it starts to fill you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Of course, by the end of the night, you know, you forgot you were tired.
Right.
But yeah, you know, it's cool, and it's one of the, you know, it's one of the ways that, you know, I do get to see folks. Yeah. You know, that I get to play with, or that, you know, come out and just to hang out with us. Right. You know, so that's it's a good thing.
Good motivator.
Sure.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Right on. Now I have to ask, just because you know, I think it's necessary. How did the?
That was a good one.
That was a nice one. How did the Campfire Jam start? Like, where did the impetus to actually execute that come from?
Yeah, well, you know, there's a handful of stuff. You know, we've been talking about it a little bit. You know, every time we get around the campfire, it's like, you know, this would be something that we'd want to do. Right. You know, it's just such a natural, thing that
super organic for sure.
Yeah, super organic. You know, you never know who's going to come in or out. So that all kind of started. You know, I already told you. You know, we would get around the campfires. That's one of the ways that I came up. And I met. You know, you can't talk about the start of it without talking about the last call, really.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, so some of the owners of Last Call, which is you know, a good friend of mine, brother Michelle and Trey, Wallace. I met them around a campfire at Raz on the Brass, Terry Razor.
Okay, yeah.
For his birthday, you know, every year for a long time, he would put together a music festival. Well, I think it was an event that grew into music festival. Right. So they would do those when I got into it. They were doing those down at Bucks on the Brazos, which is in Rainbow, Texas. Right. And very unassuming spot when you get there. You know, you're pulling in off of 67, and you would turn down the road. You know, right. There was no GPS I had back then, but right. When you're turning off the road to find it, you know, it was just, I think it was maybe a sand pit. One area when you're coming off the road at one point, there was just the road, and it dipped down, and you drove back there. And then when you get to the back near the river, it's just this huge grove of beautiful pecan trees. Oh wow, yeah. But so, you know, every year we'd go back to that, and it seemed like, you know, towards the end of the evening, you know, at the campfires would get, you know, all the music would stop on the big stage, you know, somewhere around midnight. Then the campfires would light up, and people would gather. Well, Trey was one of those that I'd met, and Michelle. I don't even know how many years ago that was. Probably 15, 20 years ago, 20 years ago maybe. Right. I'd have to do some math. But yeah, so that's why I met Trey, and it was kind of one of those deals, years in a row. I think they were at Bucks on the Brazos for 8 years.
Oh wow, yeah.
So just year after year, I would meet some folks, Trey, and some of the other folks like Mike Calloway. That's where I met him. And
right on. Yeah.
A handful of other people, But back to the main question, Trey called me up just out of the blue one day. He's like, "Hey, we're sitting here talking about something to maybe do, some music in the backyard, and we're thinking about maybe a campfire jam." And
right.
He's like, I immediately thought, maybe that's something you would like to do. Yeah, and
easy call, right?
Yeah, brother Luke and Miss Betty and Trey Michelle, the owners of Last Call.
Yeah,
and so we went up there and talked about it and decided, let's do this, do it on a Wednesday, and started off small, have fun with it, and then it really had a great synthesis, and
it exploded pretty good.
Yeah, well, it was really nice. The very first week we did it, we must have had, probably 15 or so pickers.
Oh, what's going on here?
I don't know.
All right, don't touch the microphone, Mike.
Yeah,
My bad.
Don't touch it.
Jesus.
But yeah, we had a really good showing there that first week. We had some folks from some of the festivals. We did some festivals with the Uncle Bill Roach Band, in Meridian, and that's where I met lots of people.
Right.
Randy. That's where I met Mr. Hawkins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but so we had a lot of folks from that come out. Some folks that we had known just from town. Really good showing for the first one. I was thinking, all right, cool. Everybody came out to just give it a good support. Which was great. And of course, you know how it is. Starting off with anything, if you get the first one's nice, but then it goes. But it really started to continue, and it was really nice because it was an event that we were doing every Wednesday,
right?
That just immediately started growing a little bit of a community,
Right.
I'm standing there getting ready to watch, and you see people showing up early, and you got everybody talking and meeting and shaking hands,
right.
And so it was really, really, really easy to start, just with the folks seemed like we're ready for it,
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And I love, and that, you see that community part, and that's honestly the thing that I admire most about like Fort Worth music in general.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as the musicians I've met since 2015-ish or whatever, right? When I first started coming, I met some really incredible people. Apart from how good or good a musician they are or whatever, I've met some really incredible people through that Campfire Jam.
Yeah.
And as a result, I've gotten to play with some of the most talented people I've ever come across, as far as just pure musical talent.
Yeah, you're giving me a little bit of chills. Yeah, it is cool, just folks rolling through there, for the love of music.
And of all the people that have come through, and I'm gonna put you on the spot here a little bit.
All right.
Who have you been? I don't want to say most proud to see kind of grow and as a musician, but who have you kind of kept an eye on and really kind of watched how they've progressed to see where they're going?
Whew, man, there's been so many.
I was gonna say it's probably a long list. I would imagine,
well,
right?
So many. Some folks come in, like you were saying, we're in music for a while, maybe kind of got out of it, whatever that is, and then come back and you see that love
right.
that they already had,
fire
that you already
lit.
Fire up. And then, I would see some folks come in who had just been picking around a little bit, maybe in their house, or not certain about, how to get out into it and just go from, not really even wanting to play in front of people
right.
to, like you're saying now, out playing in bands.
Killing it, yeah.
And writing songs and, picking up the other folks from the Campfire and in other places like we try to do.
Right.
And so it's hard for me to narrow it down, especially to one.
Yeah, I'd imagine,
but,
right?
Yeah.
I know personally I've watched, so Stefan is, and if my memory serves me correctly, my wife actually found a post that Stefan had left on Facebook to get me to the Campfire Jam.
Stefan Prigmore? Yeah.
Right? And Stefan and I know each other from high school.
Great! Yeah.
We were in high school choir together for years and years and years. We had some close mutual friends for a long time, and once high school happens and you go kind of separate ways. I moved south and he kind of stayed around or whatever, and getting back into like the scene, so to speak, and having him as the kind of the focal point connection to get me back in the swing of things. I've been watching where he's going and how things, and he has been absolutely killing it lately.
Yeah, he is doing some great,
for real. I mean, I was really and I love Stefan to death, and I don't mean any disrespect. Back in the day, his voice was very unique to what he did musically. You know what I mean? And it fit perfectly. In a choral situation, it wasn't perfect, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's part of the high school choir experience. You're learning to kind of do all that stuff with your throat. But seeing him blossom and take that voice that he has and turn it into this beautiful expression of art, you know what I mean? It's been really phenomenal to watch with a couple albums that he's got. He's got probably 3 albums out now, doesn't he?
I would have to ask him, but
yeah, I know at least a couple.
Yeah,
and I haven't delved really into. Have you been keeping up with what he's been doing recently? Or
well, I get to talk to him from time to time, and I catch a few things, running by, on social media. Yeah. But I have seen. I mean, he's just getting out a bunch all over. Doing some good traveling. And.
It's got some good people coming through too.
Right, meeting different folks, good folks, places that he goes and building on those, so to see him get to be able to do that, and then I don't think I've gotten to see him play in a pretty good while. We'll get together, when he's coming through, and I'll get to see him maybe for a little bit, as he's sliding through town, or he called me up one day. He's like, hey, why don't you meet me out? We'll go swim at the river real quick. We were just talking about this the other day. That was a really cool time. Yeah. But
a good dude.
Stefan and I, before the Campfire started, Stefan and I used to do a Wednesday. We did a Wednesday jam together out at Barbecue Ranch.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, we picked up a Wednesday there, and Stefan and I, decided to do kind of a songwriter open kind of. It wasn't just songwriter, but it was fun. We'd start it off and play a few, and then folks would start showing up, just open mic style, And so I think we did that maybe for at least a year and a half before the Barbecue Ranch had to shut down.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I think part of that momentum of the Campfire, that kind of it got to receive initially, probably was from some of that group coming together there, because that's where I met Rodney Moore.
Okay, yeah,
where Flash and Doug, and lots of folks would come through. Well, not Doug. I met Doug at a different place, but yeah, just a lot of that group, that core group that. I like to tell people, right now, I can show up and, that they're kind of a core group that's been coming through pretty regularly, sometimes in, sometimes out for, years.
A good while, yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost, sometimes it's just autopilot, just
a built-in crowd of
everybody shows up like protective mamas for the Campfire, it's like, let's get this thing, started and rolling. And
heck yeah.
Yeah.
So the most recent iteration of the Campfire is now at Dirty Water Saloon, right?
Yes,
which used to be, was it Randy's?
It was Randy's last resort. Right. Yeah.
And I have a deep connection to Randy's as well, specifically because of Paul Strickland and Will Hancock and the jam they ran out there that they were gracious enough to let me host a couple times, which was a blast of a time. And I know COVID hit, and Last Call was kind of a victim of that situation.
The second time COVID shut everything down around here, I think it was the second big shutdown.
Right.
I think that's what ended up signing, signing off for last call, and that was tough. Still, that was such a good, just a good all around atmosphere for that.
Good vibe.
It really was. There's a lot of these campfire jams that I go to that are official or acoustic circles. There's you show up and it's listening room, right?
Right.
I mean, you can't you're totally respecting who is playing at the time.
Right.
Well, the campfire's a little different than that. It kind of had to be that way through last call.
Yeah.
Because we're the campfire's right off the back porch, and at the time they shut all the smoking off inside.
Yeah.
So every few minutes, folks
that.
would ebb out and start to have a good time listening, and it would get it would get exciting and loud and fun, and then it would come down to quiet and intimate again.
Yeah.
But when that shut down, it really stopped a lot of the momentum.
Right.
Or it felt like it did at the time.
Yeah.
And of course, Rodney was co-hosting with me, and he had
part of that.
Yeah, he had. He came in. He was coming all the time, and I finally just said, hey, why don't you what do you think about coming and helping me out on some of these,
Right.
And he was just all in from the very beginning, and personally important,
Yeah.
So when last call shut down, just both of us were like, we felt like maybe our kid had shipped off to, to college or overseas or something. It's like
a big chunk that gets,
But so it was really refreshing to be able to move over to the dirty water.
Right.
We know a lot of those folks that were there, and like you're saying, comfortable with the building already. Being Randy's and Paul Strickland's jam, which is one of the jams that we'd been going to for forever.
The jam of jams, right? Yeah.
Man, and Paul, just the most gracious host. That I really got to be around, in a lot of the open mics and different things like that. But just Paul was so
just a gem of human being.
Oh yeah, and it would always among other things, but it would always amaze me. He was such a good people person. He could sit up there and rattle off everybody's names,
right?
The order they came in, everything that was going on, and it's not that easy, off the cuff at the end of the night and everything else to be able to just follow through and really make people feel at home and
put on a show from the hip pocket. Really, I mean, essentially,
Yeah, and made it important to people. It's not just about, hey, it's my turn to get up in front of everybody.
Right.
Definitely about bringing it when you get there.
Yeah.
There were unspoken expectations.
Sure.
He was doing the same thing, promoting growth.
Right.
And but just so that was a huge addition to making the dirty water feel just
kind of the natural
right
landing
off the bat.
spot.
Sure, like a natural movement.
Yeah. And is it the same ownership from Randy's, or is it new people that came in?
No,
or?
it's new folks. And some of the folks that are running it and owning it now, I got to go to school with.
Wow.
I know these guys personally. Very well.
Right on.
And
right
so
on.
I mean that just right. It's
one more piece of the puzzle.
One more piece of the puzzle. Yeah. And a lot of that feel from the last call, which is I like to tell everybody, some folks that had never been out there weren't sure what to think about it,
Right.
Because hey, it was a solid, right, 100% Gold Star dive bar, right,
100%.
Hey, it was a dive bar, it was a roadhouse,
right.
It was a family neighborhood pub,
It was off the beaten path, close,
and so that there's that family feel, there's that dive feel. But a lot of that feel also moved over to the dirty because you get a lot of the same folks. Like I said, it is a solid neighborhood pub, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the neighborhood and community, kind of slid right over there too.
Right.
So,
probably paying attention to see where it was going to go anyway.
Well, hey, everybody's favorite dive bar just closed down, you know, and something very personal to a lot of folks.
Oh yeah,
you
for
know?
sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like I said, I mean, that's people coming in. That's their family coming in, pretty much, you know.
At this point,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
So you know, when it moved over, a lot of that also moved over, which 100% helps with something like that, you know.
And they've done a really good job with Dirty Water.
Yeah,
you know, making it because it's kind of got a little freshen up on it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely.
They've done a really good job with it. Not to say that Randy's was a bad place, but you know, a nice new layer of paint on something.
Oh yeah,
you know, helps a lot.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
They went in and nicened it up.
You know, and that's again that's part of the appeal that I love about the West Side. You know what I mean? I was actually going to name the first album "How Far West," because of that influence on the far west side of Fort Worth. And there is that down home community of people that just they know it's coming. They expect it to be there. You know what I mean? And when it's there, they show up and they're okay with it and they enjoy it and they'll actually participate in it. You know, which is really really nice. I'm super excited to see how growth moves forward from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
There's you know, going back, obviously, you know, once COVID hit and we had a couple of family issues that we were taking care of, you know, shortly thereafter, and you know, life happens with the baby and everything, so you rearrange your focus. You know what I mean? And then so breaking back into the, you know, the crowd again. You know, seeing the familiar, the Will Hancocks and the Randy Hawkinses, and obviously you and Michael Nelms and David Hunter and all these guys.
Right.
It's you know, I had not having been for almost 2.5 years. I mean, pretty much since right at COVID start, I hadn't come. Almost 3 years now, and walking back in to see all those faces, I was like, oh, it is home. You know, it's so nice. You know, and everybody there is so welcoming and so warm and such good people energy when you show up.
Yeah.
There's no other option but to be comfortable with where you're at.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
good. Yeah, good to hear that.
You know, and if you're not comfortable in that kind of environment, maybe this ain't for you. Stop it. Stop it.
Yeah, nothing is for everybody.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So, yeah.
I've really enjoyed, you know, experiencing what Fort Worth has to offer as a musician. You know, and the prototype that you. And honestly, I don't know that I necessarily accredit them to you accurately. I don't know who came up with the format, but the format that you run for open mic, because every once in a while we would have to go from, you know, if it rains, we'd have to.
Yeah.
I swear to God, Mike, stop touching the effing mic.
Some mic on mic.
Man alive. Every once in a while we would have to, you know, move inside, you know, for rain purposes or whatever. It was too cold, and the operation that you ran. Even getting the same number, you know, 15, 20 musicians up, performing, you know, plugged in, sound checked, performed, off, and then the next two guys up.
Yeah.
Was a great, brilliant format. And I
cool.
100% copied it when I started doing open mics.
Perfect.
Here.
Hey,
you know?
Perfect, because, you know, like you're saying, I mean, I picked those skills up from other people too, you know, or I guess influences from different things as well. But
for sure.
Yeah, when it's all weather and it rains or freezes, you know, move it in, and it's good to hear. I mean, we want people to have fun,
right?
But also, really wanted it to also try to make it sound good, or at least, you know, easier, because a lot of people are learning. You know, it isn't all. You know, you don't have to be playing out to come to Campfire. You know, if you're learning, you know, if you've got one song. If you know, whatever, you know, I want people to come. It is so, you know, obviously if you move from that, you know, hey, I got one or two songs and I'm learning, and you move it inside, that's pretty intimidating to some people, you know.
Yeah.
So definitely wanted it to be, you know, easy, or, you know, warm, welcome, open, you know, supportive.
Yeah.
But also wanted to try to get the sounds as good as we could.
Sure.
The last call was tough, man.
It's tiny little room.
Yeah, but you know, the thing about it is, you know, we do the best I can. Some nights, you know, the neon signs win.
Yeah, right.
The buzz contest.
The fans. Yeah, the fans take over. Yeah.
Yeah, and but you know, that also, you know, the folks coming in, you know, totally 100% supportive of that same idea, you know, and when somebody's getting up there to learn. You know, it's a supportive thing, and when they're done, everybody in there seeing how hard they're trying, and learning or just killing it, right?
Right.
I mean, they're, a lot of times supporting that too.
Yeah.
So,
And I love it. I absolutely love it.
Cool.
And honestly, I think probably that Campfire Jam is one of the most valuable learning experiences anybody could have as a performing musician. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Especially when it comes to, learning from people who are better. Because when it comes to Campfire Jam, as long as I've been playing music and as good as I think I am at it, there are a handful of cats out there I sit in awe of.
All the time,
yeah. And
all
it's
the
great,
time I do, yeah.
But I actively try to learn from them while they're doing it, and I think that kind of environment lends itself well to it, obviously, because it's geared toward being a community. So being that there's an opportunity or a place for people to come out and I mean, you don't even have to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to sit back and just kind of pick to your own ear with your guitar outside the ring, okay, great, come on.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, the more comfortable you come. You move into the circle, and all of a sudden, oh, this is what these guys are doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I love that it's such a nurturing and inviting environment that you guys have created as part of that. So next phase, where does James Norred music move from here? You know what I mean?
We're getting back out, like you said, really trying to get out. And, I kind of got out of playing a lot for a few years. I still play some. But after COVID, wanting to get back in, playing out, and increasing that, how that's been growing, that's kind of it, get back out,
get your feet back underneath you a little bit.
Yeah, well, just to kind of develop. You always have the skills, and you can always apply them. Some of that, that momentum of what you build along the way. Just kind of getting some of that lined up, and writing some current songs.
Yeah.
A lot of the songs.
She wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, cool, perfect. Yeah.
All right, we'll talk. You can talk too. Just be quiet when you're talking.
Yeah, but a lot of the songs, I'm wanting to write some current. What's kind of going on now. What are some of the the avenues? So a little bit thirsty for writing.
Right.
A little bit thirsty to kind of build that. Some of that feel and momentum, and that stuff takes a while to take shape. Now you can plan it out and and put it to. And some people are really good at that. Plan that baby to the letter and get up there, and it's magnificent.
Right.
Well, maybe not in my toolbox.
Right.
A lot of
I
it.
got the kind of time.
Well, yeah, but so to kind of fulfill some of that momentum. And,
right. Hold on, look at that. Boom. So you don't mess up with the microphone.
There you go. Nice.
Boom. See, don't put it up there. All right, do I need to kick you out of here? Where's your mama? Go find mama.
Outside.
Okay, go find mama. Go give mama big kisses until you come in the office. Will you please? No? Okay, why not?
Yeah.
The first video we made for the YouTube channel had her in it, so of course now she's every YouTube video.
Cool.
We gotta go. But she's great for content.
Yeah.
She's great. She's a natural. She is a 100% natural, just an improvisational master. Did you watch? Have you seen the baby jiu-jitsu video that we did?
I did not see the baby jiu-jitsu.
So I have this. She likes to climb and just kind of rattle you. You know what I mean?
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. Yes, I did.
So that's gonna be okay. Hot take here. That's gonna be a little series of shorts I do where I basically let her choke me out for humor's sake.
Nice.
But she was just 100% natural with it, rolled right into it, and I was like, okay, we got to do this.
I did see that. Yeah, that was. I think I dubbed it "good medicine."
Yeah,
right? To use an already coined term. Right. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
she's so good. She loves the camera. She's already got her own little guitar. You know what I mean?
Cool.
We bought So parents who want to get their kids guitars, start them young kind of thing, all right? Nickel's worth of free advice on Sundays. So on Amazon, they have a whole bunch of guitars for less than $100 that have truss rods and adjustments that you can actually make sound pretty decent.
Nice,
for a $70 guitar.
Wow. We
bought her a little Volt. It's a little 3/8 scale or a 7/8 scale or whatever, so it's a little smaller for her. It's great. I had to set up by my buddy John.
Wow.
There it is.
There it is.
See, you got to click it all the way. Yeah. That's better. Okay, now you can put it up there because you're not going to mess with numbers. I gave it to my buddy John to set up. Put some nice little light strings on it for her, and she immediately picked it up. Said, "Oh, I got this. I see Daddy do this all the time."
Wow, that is cool.
So we just had our first dance recital yesterday.
Yes.
So
heard that. How'd that go?
It's super cute. As a grown man, right, who works in mechanic shops, right, and has been in all kinds of highly male-dominated things for his entire life, I sat there in this little church and cried at how cute these kids were in their little tutus.
That's a win.
It's the most precious thing. And I've sat through a whole bunch of dance recitals as a guy who's 43 who's got a 3-year-old, right? A lot of my friends, as you can imagine, have had kids for a long time.
Yes.
So I've sat through a lot of dance recitals like, oh, my God. I love you. You're great. Like, yeah, This one was like an hour and a half. They had probably 15, 20 acts, right? And they moved.
Nice.
Like, get up on stage. You get up on stage this side, get off on this side. Next group comes in. It's a very well orchestrated machine. And like an hour and a half, it was like an hour and a half total worth of showtime. And it moved right along, and it wasn't so the dance school that she goes to, shameless plug, I don't care, I'm going to promote them because they're great, is Encounter, right? Encounter Arts Academy over here in far North Florida. They're a kind of a faith-based, if you will, I shouldn't say kind of, they're a faith-based company, right? So what they do is a purposeful mission on why they do what they do for the kids. And she kind of gave a little spiel at the beginning of the thing, but the entire dance recital did not involve anything that, having sat through some of these dance recitals, you look at these kids and they do some of this stuff and you're like, I don't know that that's appropriate. I don't know that's like that. I sat through an entire hour and a half and saw none of that with this, and it was still entertaining. It moved. The kids were extremely well trained, very well choreographed. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So if your kids are going to start dance, Encounter Arts Academy, okay, talk to Alanya. She's great. It was a lot of fun. Her grandma and grandpa and my side came. Her mom, her mom's mom came, and her godmother. So
wow,
we had I can get more people to show up for her dance recital than for mine. That's a joke. I'm kidding. But it was a lot of fun. She had a good time. First thing she did on stage was just wave at everybody. She was like a ham.
Right. Hey, you get the vibe started the right way, right?
Like just like her daddy.
Yeah. Here we are. Now let's get serious.
So you have kids.
Yes. Yeah.
You've kind of gone through the musician with kids thing.
Yes.
You've obviously been playing music for a long time. I'm assuming probably while they were young too.
Yes.
How did you handle that? What was the kind of balance that you had to go through to kind of make that happen?
Starting off, of course, it starts off, you're not playing all the time,
right.
But initially, I would try to maybe only do 1 or 2 nights, here or there.
Right.
Those starting off with some of the acoustic song circles and moving to an open mic and things like that. But, at the time, married, and my wife at the time, she was very good about, helping me with that.
Good support structure.
Yeah. And then, when I started playing, semi-regularly, the first place we started kind of doing something regularly was at Chubby's Burger Shack.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, we were able to, the kids could come up and
right.
and move around, and if you're starting off in restaurants or something like that, it's a lot easier if they ever do want to come out.
Right.
And Chubby's was definitely good for that,
Right on.
We know a lot of folks there, and everybody kind of helps keep an eye,
Right. Community babysitter.
Right.
Yeah.
And the boys used to go to the music festivals with me. Yeah. We'd load up and camp, and used to be everybody, and then
right.
over the course of years, it'd be maybe me and my youngest Garrett,
right.
Would go, and so we would kind of split that, one kid here, one kid there,
right,
type thing, and you know.
Your kids musical? Do they play?
You know, they don't play. You know, we kind of always gave them a choice. You know, hey, you want to do, you know, this, or you want to do this,
Right.
you know, and they kind of always gravitated towards, you know, I guess maybe I should say away from,
Right.
You know, sports and music, mostly for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, we Tristan, my older one, he played the French horn for a little while.
Right.
And I went to see his first, I guess recital, you know, and I could tell he wasn't into it. You know, I mean, he was doing what he was supposed to be doing and things like that, but he just was not into it. And it wasn't long after that he decided, hey, I think I'll do an academic club. And then he moved over and started playing some tennis, you know.
Okay, I gotcha.
But yeah, you know.
You need to wipe your nose? Okay, go find Mama. She'll get you a tissue, okay? I love you. You're great. You're so pretty. She's amazing.
That's great.
There you go. Close the door behind you. Okay, I love you. Bye. She's amazing. I love the crap out of that kid.
Yeah. I bet.
It's hard not to
leave you.
Even on her bad days when she's a complete asshole, I still it's just like, you know what? You're cute. It's fine. You know.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So as far as like music that you've released, right? Do you have albums, place where they can go listen to them?
Well, you know, I have a project, you know, in the wings.
Okay.
It's been delayed a couple of times. But really the only thing that I have to put out right now is, you know, you'll find just a few songs on Reverb Nation, you know, which, you know, that was just a very quick, it was 8 hours. We got 9 songs. You know, this was Greg White. I don't know. Do you know Greg White? He's at the SG Studios.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, for 8 hours worth, he really got in there, and we were able to get 9 songs. But, you know, the idea then was more, hey, I have these songs that I've written. I'm not playing out anywhere.
Right.
And, you know, I don't think that I had really sung into a microphone at that point.
Right.
And so it was a little bit cumbersome, but, and it was just mainly to put them down, you know. It was a birthday gift, you know, just some hours to put down these songs that I'd written.
Yeah. Something tangible real quick.
Yeah. And you know, we ended up having a lot of fun, you know. A good friend at the time, David Eves, who I was playing with at the time. You know, I think we were in Lubbock, I believe. Had some friends that were in a bad car wreck, and so we went out there just to maybe see, you know, what was going on, and we were out there for a couple of days, just trying to help facilitate a few things.
Right.
And ended up rolling into town like the night before this recording, you know, our recording session, you know, pretty late, and waking up early and getting in there and trying to put it together. So, you know, all things like that considered, I was just so happy with what Greg was able to put together.
Turned out.
Yeah, but, you know, I definitely want to do an updated version of some of that, you know, because, you know, the heart and soul is still there.
Right.
But, you know, a lot of things have changed, you know.
Right.
Changed over the years.
I think that's the nature of any musician, right?
Sure,
anything
absolutely.
you record, you want to do again, because there's something you could I can just change a little bit right there.
Yeah, well,
you know?
yeah. I mean, I never would want to change those the way that it is, because I love those recordings. But yeah, you know, there's some things that, you know, just it's not a complete representation of kind of how things are now.
Right.
But,
I think we've got a lot more tools in your toolbox now, obviously, over years of experience.
Well, more
stuff.
comfortable and trying to develop some of those. You know, I mean, you know, once you know, singing into a mic and singing around the campfire, two completely different things, and you know, trying to become natural or you know, feeling natural singing into that. Right. You know, it takes a little bit of time. Or at least for me, it did.
Yeah, no, it does.
People probably just, you know.
I mean, I was super lucky when I was a kid. When I was like 11, you know, I started on stage singing, you know, as a little kid. So it's even still, and I remember to this day that shock and awe fear that you have when that spotlight turns on. It's just you and a track or a piano player playing underneath you.
Oh man,
you know, at 11 years old, just crapping your pants. And it even still to this day, I mean, I get on stage and in front of a microphone and I get that first little and go, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's healthy though. I think you should have that to some degree forever, but it is a skill.
You know, you just reminded me, I think the first time I did sing into a microphone, I was a little kid.
Yeah.
We did a school event, you know, I think probably, I don't know, maybe 4th grade-ish.
Yeah.
How old are you then? 9, 10?
Yeah. Max, right?
Yeah. But, I didn't even think about that till you started mentioning that. Yeah. When, you know, standing there, that spotlight and actual people out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was odd. That was hard. But,
yeah.
cool.
And I definitely, I always challenge people if you really want to challenge yourself and find out who you are under pressure, go sing karaoke. If you're not a musician, you're not a singer, get up on stage and throw yourself out there in front of a group full of drunken morons and see if you can swim with the sharks. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's one of those. I really think it's one of those life-changing events where that's where the bug either gets you or you figure out it's not for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've seen some really talented singers who just don't want to be on stage.
Yeah.
So they don't.
Yeah. You know, that's not my favorite part for sure. I mean, over the years, because I think, you know, I had horrible stage fright as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, like you're saying, the little dance recital or something. I think the first one I did when I was, you know, maybe preschool, I remember it. I locked up, you know,
Right.
And everybody's over there dancing, doing their stuff, and I'm just like, you know, I was barely moving. Of course, everybody starts laughing because I just look like this super slow robot going. But you know, being in front of people was hard to get through, you know. But just kind of love that music, you know, and it coming together, you know.
Right.
It really.
When it's good, you can get lost in it. Doesn't matter. Anyway.
That's exactly right. If you kind of turn some of that, you know, off at some point, and you know, and make the music roll. Yeah, that definitely is.
And that's definitely the drug I chase. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? 'Cause I'll sit in here for hours.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? Just with these headphones on, the guitar just plugged up, and not and not necessarily noodling, but like mapping through some stuff that I'm you know that we're gonna record or whatever, and that's just the most freeing time when it's just me and the noise that I'm putting into my head. You know what I mean? Which sounds horribly arrogant, and I realize that, but it's one of those things. But that's the feeling I chase, even on stage. You know what I mean? That's why people have always told me my entire life, you need to open your eyes and look at the crowd. It's like that's not where I'm at. I'm in it. I'm all the way in it. You know what I mean? And,
that's probably, I'm sure that's a skill to develop. Maybe somebody do that, but I'm the same way. You know? It's a lot easier for me to focus on where it's going. Yeah. If I'm not watching people, you know, knock over beers and
you know. And comedians talk about it all the time. You know, you find that one face that's not enjoying what you're doing, and psychologically you lock on it, and your mission for the rest of that show is to make that person, that face, do something other than this. You know,
that's great.
And of course, obviously, the bigger the show, the less of an impact that is. But I mean, I'm certainly not big enough to play in an auditorium or a stadium yet. So it's something we got to deal with while we're here. You know.
I've sung to chairs.
Yeah, yeah, right. Not even the chairs, empty chairs, not even facing me. Sing to the back of that.
Not even the front of the chair. Yeah.
But that's the grind that everybody goes through. You know, when you first start out, and I think there's a lot of. I honestly think that there's a lot of that's missing in modern music today. You know, especially with the access that everybody has to the tools. I mean, I tell everybody, distribution is free nowadays. You don't need to pay a record label gatekeeper to distribute your stuff. You get a YouTube channel, you get, you know, this, you know.
Yeah.
And I just lost audio, didn't I?
That's all right. Well, I can hear me. Can you?
What happened here?
I think.
What did I do? Can you hear me in your headphones?
No.
No. What?
Well, yeah, I can.
Can you?
I can. Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear both you and I.
What I did was
slightly.
Well, that was stupid. We're gonna go ahead and pause this. Quick break, everybody.
Hey.
We're gonna get this audio thing worked out. Hopefully, y'all can hear this. Hard count in again. 1, 2, 3. All right, back on track, everybody. So we were talking about, what were we talking about? Hell, I don't remember.
Almost there.
Almost there. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. Yeah, for some reason it's quieter now. I don't know what happened. Hopefully the audio turns out good. If not, we can always fix it in post. The experience of grinding it out, right?
Sure.
And playing those shows to literally nobody. You know what I mean? Or almost nobody. I think it's, with the distribution being the way it is, you know, there's not a need to do that for exposure anymore. You don't have to play a bar with 3 people in it on a Thursday to get exposure. You know what I mean? The hard way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that grind is missing from the spirit of music today, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
I think I understand where you're coming from.
I mean, I've written songs about, okay, on the road, doing what you got to do, whether it's, and I mean, my experience on the road hasn't necessarily been on a tour bus with a whole bunch of musicians, you know, partying, whatever. It's been, hey, my buddy invited me to open for him at some little Mexican restaurant in Austin. So I'm gone, you know what I mean? All 12 people there will work it out, you know?
Cool.
And there's a lot of growth that I think happens in that when you're, I don't want to say forced to do it, but when you choose to do it.
Sure.
You know, because obviously it has to be a choice. If you're forcing yourself to do it, it's not fun. Don't do it.
Yeah.
And that grind, I think, like I said, I think is lacking in some of the music today, as it relates to, I don't want to say the reality of the sound or the realism of the sound, but the breadth and depth and impact of the songs. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's kind of what I want to do here is change that. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think that the music of today should be as limited as what it is based on what we have mainstream access to. You know what I mean? What gets promoted, what gets, because Eric and I were talking about this last week. You know, the gatekeepers that still exist for radio.
Yeah.
I mean, you're paying gobs of money for somebody to just show you to a production guy who can put you in rotation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Much less actually get you in the rotation.
Sure.
And with the advent of what we got now, it's not really necessary. You know what I mean? And part of what I want to do here is break some of that barrier down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad I could have you here, and guys like you and Eric, and I'm planning on having Shotgun Josephine later on.
Great. Yeah.
This thing blew up on me.
Cool.
I asked like 25 people if they wanted to do a podcast, right? And I was thinking maybe 1 or 2 would be like, yeah, sure, whatever. And like a handful of people came through, and then another handful was like, oh my God, I had like scrambled to find a calculator or a calendar and, you know, write all this stuff down. I'm booked for like 3 months.
That's great.
All the way through March, you know, which is obviously I did nothing. I just asked questions. You know what I mean? It had nothing to do with me.
Of course, of course not.
But I'm glad you chose to come out here and hang out for a little while and make some noise.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for asking me out.
Hell yeah. And you know, where can people find your stuff? Plug yourself.
Yeah.
Shameless plugs.
I mean,
do it.
Really, all the. You know, Facebook is really the major social media where I post where we're going to be.
Gotcha.
You know, the music you can only find. You know, that's the only music really that I have out there is the reverb. But you know, check on the Facebook. I post most of the stuff there just because over time the different things that I've had, that's where I've gotten the most reaction from people.
Right.
And so. Yeah, you check that out.
Right on.
You can catch us out doing something. You know,
around.
Yeah, me and Derek Larson. You know, he and I and Randy Barnett been playing together. You know, the last few months.
Right on. And I love Randy.
Yeah,
such a good dude.
Yeah, they're both great folks. You know.
Yeah. And, is James Vince going to come back for Live in the Living Room stateside again, or is he kind of staying over in UK?
Well,
for those of you who don't know, James Vince, Live in the Living Room is a YouTube channel that I was lucky enough to get onto with Randy Barnett, as a matter of fact. Very, very cool dude. Just does amazing things for like, you know, live local music. Excuse me.
Yeah. Hey, did you come over to the house to record that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun.
That was a great day.
Yeah. You know, everything I've talked to with James, you know, he, you know, COVID kind of shut everything down from him coming over. And he really had some really cool stuff going on over here. You know, I mean, really exploded, you know.
Yeah, it popped off quick.
Yeah, it was great. You know, he had the New Braunfels, you know, and then he had the Fort Worth one. And then, you know, I think the last 2 years, I think he did the Nashville.
I was going to say he went to Tennessee, right?
Yeah, and really, and then COVID kind of shut that down, you know. You've probably been keeping an eye. You know, he's really kind of put his foot forward, you know, back at home, and they've been putting out, I mean, all kinds of.
I see it all the time.
Yeah,
I love it.
All kinds of stuff. But you know, asking him if he would be able to come back, you know, I think he's hoping that he can. You know, if he has plans, you know, I haven't heard about it yet, but you know, I'm sure he's got a lot to deal with there. And they're doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I would love for him to come back and do something, man. He's a blast.
That was a good time.
Yeah,
I got to meet Jeff Martin actually at the house when he came through and we did that recording. Which was a really cool because Jeff's a good dude too. He's just a great musician. I heard him do Britney Spears. He posted something on his Facebook.
Really? That's
he
great.
did a cover. I think it was Britney Spears. I'm almost 100% sure. Is it Britney Spears? Let's see this gigantic guy with a big bushy beard and bald cap doing Britney Spears. I was like, Jeff. Perfect.
You got to. Just
nailed it.
Just do it.
And it was good, you know what I mean? Because he's actually a good musician. It was really nice. Right on, man. Well, again, thank you for coming out and sitting down with me for a little bit. And I'm gonna make sure that people get pointed in the right direction so they can find where you're at. And you know, anything I can do to help. You know what I mean? If I got time and availability to do it, I'm more than happy to come out and do what I can for you, man.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. I had fun. A lot of fun here doing this.
Right on. Thanks, right on. Guys, thanks for coming in and joining us again here for another episode of DadPod at the IYCBHGH ammo box. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to learn. I cannot say that phrase. Subscribe, and share. 5 times fast. I dare you. Subscribe, share. Make sure you're up to date on all the content. Go by southernoakband.com and make sure you get on the newsletter. We'll keep chugging out content and talking to people that are interesting to talk to and hopefully keep entertaining your faces for a little bit. Other than that, y'all stay good, stay humble, be helpful, be a leader. And as always, if you can be here, get here.